Wednesday, not Thursday. Next Wednesday, we'll have chapel as usual next Wednesday. Before we introduce our special speaker today, I'd like our senior class chaplain to come forward. Mr. Ben Bankston, have a word of prayer for us. Ben?
All right, dear God, thank you for allowing us to come to school where we can have a speaker like this come and talk to us. And please help us to have a good day and do everything for your glory. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Ben. It's my pleasure to introduce our special guest today. Is Miss Kelsey Tadish. Hello, Kelsey. She has probably been through more in her 27 years of life than most of us will endure in a lifetime. Successfully overcoming a brain tumor at the age of 5, Kelsey went on to be a happy, healthy kid and a champion athlete. 10 years later, at the age of 15, it all came crashing down when her tumor returned, followed by a crippling stroke. Her friends had disappeared. Her right side didn't function anymore, and she became paralyzed with fear and self-doubt. Despite her significant physical challenges, Kelsey worked hard to pull herself up and charged back into life, graduating magna cum laude from the University of Florida and going on to work for one of the most recognized companies in the world called Coca-Cola. Today, this remarkable young lady has become a champion for the rest of us. An acclaimed professional speaker, Kelsey travels the country speaking to groups like us and talk about the power of persistence and perspective. Let's give Miss Kelsey a great Glenwood Gator welcome.
How's everybody doing? Oh, come on, I know you can do better than that. How's everybody doing? Just raise your hands really quickly. Who here is afraid of public speaking? I know, right? So public speaking is one of the top 5 fears in the United States. In fact, I believe it's number 2. Now, let me just give you a little piece of advice. If you're afraid of public speaking and you have to do it, don't picture the audience in their underwear. It doesn't work. Especially if you find somebody in the audience attractive. I'm just saying. But once you can hear me. Once you can hear me. 3 times you can hear me. A lot of people are afraid of it, but the secret for you all, and what I want to do starting out is I want to share stories with you all. You see, if you share stories, public speaking becomes a lot easier because stories come from the heart. Stories come from the where? Heart. Stories come from the where? Heart. So I'm driving to my first speaking engagement ever. I'm 21 years old, and I'm nervous. Because I'm sitting there in my car wondering, what are they going to think of me? What are they going to think of all of this? And I pull to the venue, and I start to walk inside. And as I walk inside, I notice a policeman off in the corner. And he's walking kind of funny. So I muster up some courage, and I decide to approach him. And as I do, I introduce myself, and I say, hi, my name's Kelsey. When I was 5 years old, I had a brain tumor. And when I was 15, that brain tumor came back. And I had a stroke and woke up paralyzed. And I just want to let you know that seeing you here today really inspired me. If you can do all that you're doing despite the challenges you face, I know I can too. And he looked at me, and he turned to me and looked at me with the kindest, sweetest eyes I've ever seen. And what he said to me that day, I will never forget. He turned to me and he said, young lady, I just stepped in dog poop and I'm trying to get it off my shoe. And he walked away like this. Having a good time? Yeah. Who in here, how many seniors do I have? Seniors, juniors, freshmen, sophomore? I know we go down to 6th grade, right? Do you guys mind if I share a little bit about myself with you all? Would that be okay? So I grew up in a big family. I am actually a triplet. And I have older brother and sister who are twins. Do I have any triplets or twins in here? then they had 3 girl triplets. In fact, they almost named us Hope, Faith, and Charity. What a disaster that would have been. But I grew up in a big family and I had a lot of support, and this was really great because when I was just 5 years old, I started to act differently. I started to rub my eyes. I always wanted to be held, and I was knocking into walls and doors to the point that my head was actually starting to bleed. My parents took me to doctors who said that nothing was wrong, that I was fine. But they, being doctors themselves, knew that something was wrong and demanded I get an MRI. And there on the MRI at 5 years old was a brain tumor. At the age of 5, I was diagnosed with cancer. I underwent surgery and radiation treatment, and then my life started to get back to normal. And that, let me just be honest with you guys, my life wasn't normal. My life was extraordinary. I was tall, funny, pretty, talented, and I just happened to be a world champion athlete. Does anybody in this room know what wakeboarding is? Has anybody done wakeboarding? For all of you who don't know what wakeboarding is that thing that you do behind a boat on a board like this. I know I look weird now, back when I was smoking hot. I'm just saying. But by the time I was 13, I was ranked 3rd in the world and 2nd in the nation for girls wakeboarding. I got to travel all over the country. I had a company give me a boat. You could buy a wakeboard with my signature on it. In fact, I even had a company give me men's boxers. Why? I have no idea. Free stuff, you hear like free stuff? Free stuff? I have prizes later. We're gonna have a lot of fun with prizes. But here I was, 13 years old, a world champion athlete. In fact, we used to go practice at my coach's house. Her name was Lauren Harf. And for the last trick of the day, we do a trick off the double up. So the double up is when the boat makes a circle, and it makes 2 waves. So when you jump off it, you go double as high. Hence the word double up, right? So it was the last trick of the day, and I jumped off the double up, and I did a front roll, and my teeth went into my knee. And there was blood everywhere. Hashtag my dad didn't think it was funny. Hashtag Finding Nemo. Hashtag just keep swimming. Hashtag lucky fin. It was really cool wakeboarding. I felt like I was on top of the world, like nothing could go wrong. But then, in 10th grade, I started to act differently again. I started to actually have seizures. And they weren't the kind of seizures where you shake and fall on the ground. They were called gustatory seizures. You get a bad taste in your mouth and your face turns all red. And I had one of these in class, but I didn't think anything of it. I was so busy with my life and my extracurriculars. Does anybody in here play sports? Sports is like what you think about in life, right? So I was so busy with my sports and my schoolwork and stuff that I didn't realize that I was having a seizure. But then I had another, and then the next day I had 2 more. And I started to have multiple of these seizures every single day. And my triplet sister Erica saw me have one in class one day. And she told my parents. And my parents immediately took me to get another MRI. And there on the MRI was my brain tumor. It had come back after being gone for 10 years. My brain tumor had come back after being gone for 10 years. I couldn't believe it. I was 5'9", 125 pounds, could bench press my weight. I was running 6 miles a day. I was a world champion athlete. I thought that nothing would go wrong. And then the next day we find out that my brain tumor is back. Life is short. You never know what's going to happen. That's why it's so important to follow your dreams and be kind to one another. So we found out my brain tumor had come back, and I was able to finish 10th grade. And then I went to go have surgery. And I actually had surgery 10 years to the day of my first surgery. 10 years to the day. June 14th, 1996 and June 14th, 2006, by the same neurosurgeon and the same anesthesiologist in the same hospital. But things didn't go as well this time. And I'm lying in bed after surgery, and I'm lying in bed, and all I hear the doctors say to my parents is stroke, stroke. She had a stroke. She woke up paralyzed. And I'm screaming, and I'm saying, stroke? I can't have a stroke. I'm 15 years old. I'm a world champion athlete. There's a dance on Friday. But no one could hear me. Because not only was I completely paralyzed on one side of my body, but I couldn't speak as well. So all these feelings that I was having, all these emotions that I had weren't coming out. And I found myself going deeper and deeper into this dark black hole of depression and misery and self-pity, just feeling sorry for myself. Just feeling sorry for myself. Have you ever felt like that? Has anybody ever had the worst day ever? Has anybody ever had like 5 worst days ever? Yeah, I know, right? Have you ever felt like that? So you're at school, right? You're at school, and you're just having the worst day ever, and you don't think that things can get any worse, and then you come back the next day and things are worse. And then they mess up your mocha latte at Starbucks. I know, right? And we find ourselves complaining about problems in this world that other people wish that they had. Feel lucky. Your worst day, your hardest day is better than the best day of most people on this planet. My worst day, lying in a bed, completely paralyzed on the right side of my body, is still better than most people's best days. Feel lucky. We're so blessed. God has given us so much. But you see, for me, at the time, it was so easy for me to sit in my misery and sit in my pity and to sit in my pain. Sitting on the couch with a pint of Haagen-Dazs coffee ice cream and a banana nut muffin. No one likes banana nut muffins, really? Good, thank you. I was like, seriously, we're gonna have a bake-off or something, guys. Come on. And to just sit there and feel sorry for myself and not realize that there was this amazing, beautiful world out there that I was missing out on. But I'm fortunate, guys, that I have people in my life who love me and care about me and believe in me, who made me go out in public, even though I didn't want to. And eventually something clicked. And I decided, was I going to get bitter or was I going to get better? And I chose to get better. So while I started in a wheelchair, and for a long time stayed in that wheelchair and could not move the right side of my body, very slowly I moved to a walker, and then to a cane, and now it's been 12 years. And not only can I walk on my own, but I'm fully independent running my own business. I have a great life. Because when people told me no, and you can't, and you'll never, I didn't believe it. In fact, sometimes I did things just because people told me I couldn't. Did anybody do that? Yeah, I know, right? See, we all have differences and we all have challenges. In fact, what I want to do is I am going to ask you to raise your hands, okay? Raise your hands if you have ever been called a name that's hurt your feelings. Raise your hand if you have ever called someone something that has hurt their feelings. Raise your hand if you have ever felt all alone. Raise your hand if you have ever felt like you lost all your friends. Raise your hand if you have ever wet the bed. Once if you can hear me. Once you can hear me. 3 times you can hear me. Every single hand should have been raised because we were all babies once. And if you didn't wet the bed when you were a baby, then we need to have a conversation because I want to know all your secrets. Okay, raise your hand, and I want you to be honest about this one. Raise your hand if you have ever asked someone out, they said no, and or made fun of you. Can we just give a round of applause for the people who were honest and raised their hands, please? Stop, once if you can hear me. Twice you can hear me. 2 times you can hear me. So why do we do this exercise? Because we all have challenges, we all have problems, we all are going through something that we feel like we have no control over. Every single one of us. But a lot of times what we find is that our challenges and the things we're going through are actually very similar to what other people are going through rather. Therefore, we should share them with each other and support each other rather than keep them inside. Does anybody want to hear a few jokes? Would anybody like to hear some jokes? Okay. Dear Algebra, please stop asking me to find your ex. She's never coming back. Don't ask why. Clap once, clap twice, clap 3 times. Dear Algebra, solve your own problems. I'm a kid, not a therapist. And, in my opinion, there's only 3 reasons to stand up in life. 1, you have to go somewhere. 2, you have to stretch. Or 3, you're the real Slim Shady. I know, right? So I do that joke, guys. I do that joke all over the country, and a lot of time I'm in a big room where there's a lot of you, sometimes over 1,000, and I always get like 1 or 2 guys that stand. It's so funny, right? What I want to do an exercise with you. So, who in here has ever been annoyed, something that has annoyed them? All the time? Wow, what if you can hear me? What if you can hear me? You guys can hear me. So, here's the thing, guys. There's a lot of things that annoy me in life. For example, when I go to a restaurant and the hostess says, "Would you like a table?" No, I think I'll sit on the floor. Or, I know, right? Seriously. Or when I go to a store and get a bunch of stuff and I go up to the cashier with all my stuff and he says, "Are you really going to buy all this stuff?" No, I'm going to steal it. I just thought I'd show you first. You know what also really annoys me is really bad pickup lines. Does anybody want to hear a few? Are you sure? Clap once, clap twice, clap 3 times. Okay. I have to have these written down because they're so funny that I just can't say them without a piece of paper in front of me. I'm learning about important dates in history. Want to be one of them? Clap once, clap twice, clap 3 times. Oh my God, this is so bad. I don't have a library card, but do you mind if I check you out? Clap once, clap twice, clap 3 times. Are you an SAT exam? Because I would gladly sit in a room for 3 hours with you. Oh, that one was so bad and I messed it up too. Clap once, clap twice, clap 3 times. If I were writing an essay on your beauty, I wouldn't need to double space or increase the margin size to satisfy the minimum page requirement because you're so pretty. Oh, that one was really bad. Clap once, clap twice, clap 3 times. Baby. Yes, I'm just kidding. Baby, you're like a student and I'm like a math book. You solve all my problems. Clap once, clap twice, clap 3 times. And will you be my student loans? Because I'd like to have you around for the rest of my life. Clap once, clap 3 times. So raise your hand one more time, raise your hand. There's a lot of things that annoy you in life. Me too, right? But you know what annoys me more than everything that I just stared that was really annoying? I'm a triplet. Who in here has siblings? Right? Who in here has ever been in an argument with their sister or brother? Okay. Clap once. Clap twice. Clap 3 times. Okay, so tell me if this scenario has ever happened to you. You're in an argument with your sister or brother. maybe even a friend, and they say something, then you say something, then they say something so smart and witty that you lose the argument and walk away. Ever happened? So here's the thing, guys, here's the thing. You walk away, and then like 5 minutes later you think of something brilliant. And you have to go back and say it, so you have to win an argument, so then you go back. Here's a question I have for you. How many times do we restart something when we should be moving forward? Right? What if instead of restarting it, we let it go? Let it go! Let it go! I don't know the word. Left one, left 3 down. Let it go. Let it what? Let it what? Let it what? I need 2 female volunteers because we are now going to act out everything that I just did.
Hello?
Yes, okay. You're going to be the narrator. I need a female volunteer. Can someone else before the come up? Yes, you need to start. That I spoke about a second ago. That's going to be awesome. Okay, I believe that narrator goes first.
Kelsey walks into her room and says,
Is my blue sweater in your closet?
I don't know. Did you put your blue sweater in my closet?
Why would I put my blue sweater in your closet?
Because there's so much junk in your closet, there's no room to put your blue sweater. Besides that, there's a door on my room. Please do not the next time you come to my room. Where you work, resort, bar.
Kelsey leaves and realized she never looked for the sweater because she was so angry about losing the argument.
I'm so angry! What am I going to do? I'm going to stand right here and think of what I can say, and then go back.
Kelsey returns to her sister's room and says,
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Dishes.
Dishes who?
Dishes your sister, Kelsey. Sorry, I get it every time. This is your sister. So open up and let me find my sweater or I will knock down your face.
Kelsey looks in her closet and finds nothing and leaves.
She should have looked in my drawers.
Everybody give them a huge round of applause, please. Everybody give them a huge round of applause, please. Oh wait. The 3 girls that helped me, can you come back up for a second, please? I'm sorry. Can you come back up? 1, 2. Yeah, you and the pink too. You all get t-shirts for helping, so go ahead and grab one. You're welcome. So, these t-shirts are awesome. One, three times. On the front they say hashtag I'm not normal. On the back they say normal is just sitting in a dryer. They're pretty awesome. So here's the thing, guys, here's the thing. I have another fun exercise like that I want to do with you, but first I need to get serious for a second, guys. Is that okay? Can I get serious with you guys for a second? So here's the thing, guys. After I had a stroke, I went back to school. And I went back to school right away. I went back to school in a wheelchair. And you know what happened? I immediately lost all my friends. You see, I was different, and they didn't know how to treat me. It seemed as though in high school and middle school, and even as we go on to college, if we don't fit in, we stand out. If we don't fit in, we what? Stand out. If we don't fit in, we what? Stand out. And boy, did I stand out. But as soon as I got out of that wheelchair, moved past that walker, and past that cane and could finally walk on my own, I realized something. If I wear sweatshirts or jackets like this and I stick my hand into my pocket, it was almost as if no one seemed to notice or care that I was different. And for the longest time, I kept my hand in my pocket and tried to hide my disability and my differences to fit in. What I was really doing is I was trying to hide my differences and my challenges so that other people would like me. Now, don't get me wrong, I think we're all hiding something. And frankly, some things are good to hide. Think about that one for a second. No? But here's the thing, guys, those things that make you, that make you different and unique and special, those are your good qualities. So I want to ask you, and I want you to think about this for a second, and then I'm going to give you the opportunity to share, only if you want to. What are you hiding in your pocket so that other people can't see what's really going on with you? Now, I don't mean like your keys in your wallet and stuff. I mean, what challenges, what things are you facing that you try to hide from other people so that they don't really know what's going on with you? I want you to think about this for a second, and if you want to share, you can raise your hand, but you don't have to. Yes? Anxiety? Can everybody snap for her, please, for sharing? Anybody else?
You'll have to tell me. What?
Yes.
Tell me later.
She had surgery after the second grade and you were really scared about it? Insecure about it? Can everybody snap for her, please, for sharing? Anybody else? Yes.
After my father went to jail, I kind of just lost myself in depression.
Wow. Can everybody snap for her, please? Wow. Anybody else want to share? Well, something that no one knows about me is not only am I a cancer survivor, but I'm also a recovering alcoholic. I have 4 years sober. I have time for a few more. Would anybody else like to share? No, I have to like turn around and dance and shake my butt. Anybody? Oh yes, all the way in the back, I see you. Can you speak up for us just a little?
I have ADHD.
He has ADHD. Can everybody snap for him, please? Snap for him, please. Hot punch! Hot punch! Hot 3 times! We have time for 2 or 3 more. Would anybody else like to share? Yes, a hand over here, sorry, say it one more time for us. You have what disorder? Language prophecy disorder. Can everybody snap for him, please, for Karen? Oh yes, all the way in the back. Yes. Why did I become alcoholic? You just opened up a can of worms, didn't you? We'll get there. I became an alcoholic because I was insecure with who I was. I hid my hand in my pocket and tried to hide my disability and my differences, and when I drank, I felt normal. My disability disappeared. My differences went away. I found for one more. Anybody else? Yes.
I was sexually assaulted at the age of 5.
Say it one more time.
I was sexually assaulted at the age of 5.
Wow. Can everybody please snap for him? Wow. Clap once, clap twice, clap 3 times. Yes. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I have depression.
Person, everybody snap for her, please. Everybody snap for her, please. Come on. Can everybody please give yourself a round of applause for those people? We all have differences, we all have challenges, but it's important that we share our differences and challenges and don't keep them inside. Share them with other people and listen to their challenges and what they're going through too. You should see, for me, it was once I finally took my hand out of my pocket that my life changed forever. That I learned to love who I was before I had a stroke and who I am now, even though I'm different. And then I realized that we're all different, and there's no such thing as normal. Who wants to play a game? Does anybody want to play a game? Okay, before we play the game, I actually would like to do one more exercise. And I'm going to need a volunteer, but not yet. So really quickly, I want to know if you can raise your hand and tell me words you think of that are negative when you see a disability, or words that you have heard of before. Yes, in the front row. Stupid, absolutely. Yes. Retard, absolutely. Yes. Freak, absolutely. Say it one more time. Weird, absolutely. Hideous? Yep. Say it one. Disgusting, absolutely. You guys are so much fun. And right here in the front row. Midget, absolutely. Absolutely. Can everybody give them a round of applause, please, for Karen? So here's the thing, guys. Oftentimes when we see people with a physical disability or a difference, no matter what age we are, we think about those words. When really many people with disabilities, with differences, are actually perfectly okay with who they are. In fact, sometimes they can even find it funny. For example, I'd like to thank my arms for being by my side, my legs for always supporting me, and my hands because I can always count on them. Well, at least half of them. Oh my gosh, I know, it was so bad. Here's the thing. So as I travel around and I go to different schools and stuff, everybody wants to know what's wrong with my arm, right? And this happens in the grocery store too. And when I go to the grocery store and someone comes up to me and says, what's wrong with their arm, and I tell them I've had a stroke, it's like you can see the blood rush out of their face. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. So, because I don't like it when people do that, I came up with some better things to say when people ask me, what's wrong with your arm? Do you want to hear them? Yeah. I need a male volunteer and come up. You in the front row, come on up. Everybody give her a huge round of
Hey, John. She had to go to school here. So did.
Here's what we're going to do. Your line is what's wrong with your arm. You're going to say that, and then I'm going to say something, and then we're all going to stop and wait for them to laugh. I'm just kidding. Only if you want to. Okay, go ahead.
What's wrong with your arm?
I had a really nice headback. Not once. Not twice. Not 3 times. Let's try that again. Go ahead and say it again.
What's wrong with your arm?
I had a really bad thumb wrestling accident.
What's wrong with your arm?
Say it one more time.
What's wrong with your arm?
Well, you can jump on a trampoline, or you can enjoy a full bowl of spaghetti and meatballs, but apparently you can't do them both at the same time. I know, right? I attempted to give a moving train a high five.
What's wrong with your arm?
Because no one ever told me you're supposed to let go of the bowling ball.
What's wrong with your arm?
It's called breakdancing for a reason.
What's wrong with your arm?
It's a funny story, really, starting out with the realization that I can't fly. Everybody give him a huge round of applause. Huge round of applause. Are you guys having a good time? You guys having a good time? So here's the thing, guys. We're almost out of time, so what I want to do is I want to share one more story with you, and then we're going to play a song, and then I'm going to end with a story about a boy who changed my life. Okay. So here's the thing. Oftentimes when we're in high school and middle school, we're put in situations where we're asked to or tempted to do something that we know is wrong. I had a friend whose name was Steven, and Steven lived in an apartment complex where there weren't many kids around. So every afternoon he would go and play basketball with the older kids. He did this every day because if he didn't do it, then there was really nowhere else for him to go. One day he was walking back to his apartment from school when some of the older kids that he usually hang out with, they pulled up in a car and told him to get in, that they were going to go cause some trouble. He thought about this, and as he thought about this, he got this really deep, sick feeling in his throat and stomach. Has anybody ever gotten that feeling? Like, you know you shouldn't do something, maybe? So he got this feeling, and he didn't want to say no to them, because again, these are people he sees every day who are stronger and bigger than him. But he got this feeling, and he said, no, I have to go home and study. And they turned him from the car, and they said, come on, Steven, it's going to be awesome. We're going to go get in some trouble. And he said no again, and they turned to him and said, you're really going to regret this. So Steven went home, and they drove off, and they went to go rob a bank. I know, right? So Steven went home. Steven did the right thing. They went to go rob a bank. They thought it was going to be fun. They went into the bank, they robbed the bank, they came out with all the money and started to drive away. They had done it successfully. But as they put the money in the car, the bags, they opened the bags to look at the money, and red dye started coming out. The bag exploded with red dye. It's a way to catch people when they get robbed. They have these bags at the bank. And they were caught. They had gotten away, but because the red bags exploded with dye all over them, they were caught, and they all went to jail. Stephen didn't because he did the right thing that day. There are times, there are situations you're going to be put in life. We're all going to make mistakes in life. Believe me, I've done it too. But there are going to be times in your life where you know something's wrong, and I encourage you not to do it if you know it's wrong. Things happen, life happens, and I get that. But every decision you make matters. Every choice you make in life matters. And in order to make a difference and go on to do whatever you want to do and be whatever you want to be, you got to try to make the right decision. Okay? Okay? Who wants to play a game? Has anybody ever played Finish That Song? Yeah? Clap once! Clap twice! Clap 3 times! So here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to play this game and then I'm going to share a story with you about a boy. I know. But here we go. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to play a song and then the song is going to stop and your job is to finish that song. Are you ready?
My mama don't like you, she likes everyone. And I never lied to admit that I was wrong. But I've been so caught up in my job, didn't see what's going on, but now I know I'm better sleeping on my own. You like the way you look that much, baby, you should go and love yourself.
You guys want another? Yeah! You download it, you put in what grade you are in school and some other characteristics, and it pulls up all of the scholarships you can apply for. What a lot of people don't know is that you can start applying for scholarships in the 8th grade. And continue to apply as you go to college. The app is called Scully. None of you should have to pay to go to college. Okay? Okay? Yeah? Clap one! Clap one! Clap three times! Okay, back to this boy, back to this boy. So, it was my senior year of college, and I went to study abroad in Greece. It was my 4th study abroad trip, actually. I studied abroad 4 times in college. I decided not to let anything hold me back. And I was getting ready to board the plane to Greece when I met Josh. Josh was tall, southern, handsome, and just happened to be a little bit different like me. You see guys, Josh was a Paralympic athlete. He lost his leg in Iraq, and he still works for the military today. His leg went down to his knee and stopped with a stub. He had no knee, he had no lower leg, he had no foot. But Josh didn't live his life focused on the leg he did not have. I got to know Josh over the years. In fact, I got to know Josh really well. We even went on a few dates. I know, he was smoking hot too. And what I realized about Josh very quickly is that Josh didn't live his life focused on what he did not have or what he could not do. You see, even with 2 crutches and only 1 full leg, he still managed to open the car door and the restaurant door for me before I could get to them. I still have no idea how. It's like there was 2 of them. Josh lived his life focused on what he did have and what he could do and how he could help other people. You know, I speak to Josh often. And every time I speak to Josh, I feel inspired and I feel ashamed. You see, if Josh could live this amazing life that he lives, despite the challenges he faced, and be a world champion athlete on top of that for a 2nd time, why was I complaining? Josh inspired me more than anybody I've ever met in my entire life. He changed my perspective. He changed my life in ways that he may never truly know. In fact, I believe that Josh is more alive now than he was before he got injured. Because he has gratitude and he has perspective. And he accomplishes more now than he ever did before because he made a conscious decision not to let his disability or differences keep him from reaching his goals and dreams in life. He persevered in spite of them. And as I leave you all here today, I hope that I've helped you to do the same thing too. To realize that no matter who you are, you can be whatever you want in your life. You can do whatever you want to do. It's important that you all be kind to other people and treat other people the way you want to be treated. When you're having a problem, when you're having a bad day, realize that the people around you are often going through the same things you're going through. And don't keep it from yourself. Share it. Share it with me. Share it with a friend. Share it with a guidance counselor. You all are so amazing and you have so much potential. Be kind. Help other people. Apply for scholarships. I know, right? And have a great rest of your day. Thank you guys so much.
we can thank Kelsey a little bit better than that. Give us a round of applause. And I really thank y'all for loving me the way I am. What y'all just sang to me, wasn't it? So that wasn't to me? Okay. I guess I misunderstood. Kelsey, thank you for coming. Thank you for your message. And thank you for the challenge. As we dismiss,